Hello everyone, this is Anne from Anne Reyes Designs, and today we're going to talk about the topic that some people might be uncomfortable with, and that is how to nail how to pitch yourself in front of people. So recently I've attended a couple of networking events, sometimes online and then sometimes offline. And the struggle is like, how do you talk to people without, sounding so salesy? So, what I've learned from some of the events that I've attended and also some of the talks that I've been following, like Christo, is that you really need to let the other person talk rather than yourself. So, obviously, you do need to talk a little bit about yourself, like who you are, what do you do, how are you different from everyone else, and how can they reach you. So, this is something that I recently learned today, actually, from attending a networking event hosted by Aura McKay. She's really good. She helps businesses and creatives grow, and I can share her details on this channel. But essentially, I was actually really struggling when I'm talking to people outside of the tech or creative industry, trying to explain what I do. So I'm a product designer and also a product design consultant. And what I do is I get hired to help with people in product and also startups when they need someone as a fractional designer. So they may have a project and they're looking to fill that gap. Someone in their team doesn't have enough capacity, and I can do that because I have experience. I have 12 years of experience in design, so both visual branding and also UX. And that gives me a huge tool set to actually deal with their problems. Thinking about this way, I look back into what are the achievements that I've done in the past few years. So I've helped businesses grow. I've helped them get acquired. I've helped launch multiple products to market and hit our revenue and business goals. So these revenue goals are from the millions to even billions in booking revenue that the company handles. So this is something that I'm particularly proud of. But really, when I think about all of my experience, it differs. And so what was helpful about the session that I attended today was that it helped me sort of reframe what I had to talk about. And so here's the thing. You may be attending a networking event filled with creative professionals, and so you can tell them that you're full stack, that you deal with almost everything, that you can do research, design, UI, which is something that I do, and then create zero-to-one products. They'll understand that language. But when you're talking to other people, you kind of have to figure out who are you actually talking to and how much of that can they understand. If they're a little confused, you can prompt them, and then I think you could just laugh at it. So another tip is that, like me, I'm very youthful. I'm Asian, and sometimes people think that I'm still a teenager, and I'm not. I have a lot of experience working in the corporate world, and they told me that I could actually take advantage of that, saying that even though I look like this, I've already accomplished so much. And I know that it might be difficult, especially if you're starting out, that it might not be easy to market yourself and sound confident. I think what helped me is actually practice it and write a script. So sometimes I would go to ChatGPT and or Copilot, which also uses ChatGPT, and I would ask for a prompt of can you create an elevator pitch for me based on this format, or based on what I'm going to share with you. So I'm blah blah blah. I have this much experience in design. This is all my specialties. Can you condense that into a 15-second pitch? And then so I will get something and then I will refine it, because usually what you get out of AI is not necessarily something that you can readily always say. You have to make it your own voice and your own tone. And so something like that has really helped me. Something that I recently learned in networking is it's handy to have a business card with me at all times, but also it's also nice to point out where they can actually reach out to me. So normally I would go through LinkedIn. So I would ask people, can I get your LinkedIn? And then we would get connected there and then follow up right after if they're a good fit. But sometimes it's also just nice to make friends. So I've made a few friends this way, just networking, attending events that I particularly liked. For example, I volunteered in a game board convention and I made a friend that way. Also, I've been reading a lot of books lately, 100 Million Offers and 100 Million Leads, together with there's one other book that I was reading around the E-Myth Revisited. So I haven't finished reading that book. But this is something that I'm learning because I'm encountering it a lot, like for myself. So I'm a very good individual contributor. I've also led a couple of projects, so I think I'm a good leader in that sense. Going into a business is actually a different thing. It's like having to unlearn a lot of the things that I know and also learning a lot of new things. It's like in a company, you're just expected to do the work. Some of the projects are already scoped out and then they get handed over to you. And so I never really had to go through all of these sales calls and all of this marketing outreach or whatnot. I don't know which ones are the do's and don'ts. And so every single day I'm learning something new. Recently, for example, I tried to reach out to a bunch of people because that's what you're supposed to do at the start. You reach out to your friends, your family, your boss, your coworkers, tell them that, you have this thing going. If like you're a freelancer like myself, or you've established your business and you would like to get a referral. Obviously, you want to ask how they're doing first, or like mention something that you've noticed recently, like maybe they just recently acquired a house, or they got promoted, or you just want to catch up. But what I learned from today's session is that you should also ask for referrals. So it's not enough that you to tell them that, hey, I started a business, are you interested? Normally it could turn other people off. And I also don't want to pressure anyone to just feeling like forcing them to do business with me, because that's not my intention. I do want to get referrals though. So I heard from Aura that it might be a good idea to ask for 2 referrals instead of just 1, or 3. 1 is not enough. 2 is maybe a good number because 1 might be a good referral and the other one's not a good referral. And then 3 might also be too much. Like people might not have that many people in mind. So for my situation, because I'm just starting out, normally I get organically reached out to by people I've worked with in the past. I've never really done this, like reaching out to people. It's uncomfortable, but also as I do it, I get used to actually reaching out and talking to people about my services. And this is great because the more I practice this, the better I become and the more confident I feel when I'm actually talking to a person in person or even online. And practicing actually, it doesn't make perfect, but it makes me a bit easier to talk to. It makes it seem like I'm a bit more confident about what I do. And that really, I think that's a load of help. There are days where I still don't feel like there's the imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I have had enough experience, even though, I've handled a lot of clients. I have enterprise clients, and I've worked with startups that also got acquired. So even though I have all this experience, sometimes I hear this voice in my head that, am I really that good enough? And I think that's something for myself to work on. I think everyone has their own value, and I keep hearing from other people as validation that I'm a really good designer. There's no one else that should believe in myself more than myself. And I'm still working on this. I'm still trying to figure out how can I be my own best cheerleader, and also just acknowledge that the achievements that I've made are not easy, and that I've actually worked hard and have all the skills to back up the positions that I've had in the past, and also the outcomes that I was able to receive. So my advice to other people who are feeling something similar, just look back at all the things that you've accomplished and see for yourself that you are not fake. You are really good at what you do. And if you feel like you're not good, then there's ways for you to get better. So like I keep challenging myself to keep growing. I keep challenging myself to just, learn something and keep practicing. And that is, my pitch to actually keep practicing. And then hopefully one of these days I will meet someone that really likes my work and then would be happy to work with me and become one of my clients. So that is something that another reason why practice is so important is because first impressions do matter. And we all have these biases for different people and how they present themselves, how they look, how they sound, where they came from. And these are all things that are difficult to change. I think because the first impression lasts, you want to make sure that you do make a really good impression the first time you meet them. And sometimes that's taking advantage of research that we all have at our disposal. So one thing is like being presentable, knowing the crowd, knowing like who to talk to and what do they actually want, doing a bit of research around that. And then also it has to, like, you have to pay attention to the way you look, the way you dress, and also what you mention. So this is something that I didn't know really until recently, that I usually say things and I overshare and I ramble and say things that may not be putting myself in the best light. So it's like oversharing and telling like, let's say an interviewer or a potential person that I'm downplaying my strengths. So let's say I said that, I've helped my last company. So in my recent role at Checkfront, I helped them get to 1.3 million for their repackaging and pricing strategy in just over 3 months. And then I would share a little tidbit after that, it was not just me. I also worked with other departments. So I don't think that I needed to add that. I could just leave it at that I helped the company achieve that revenue target. And then aside from that, I feel like just knowing how much to say and being able to talk to more and more people actually helps engage and sort of like persuade people into thinking that you're the expert and that, they would be able to understand like, when are you going to be a good fit for someone that they know or even their own business. And something else that I've learned is this is from following Christo and Jewel Kim. So they said that there are internal thoughts in our heads that sometimes make us a little bit uncomfortable, and we should try to confront that and understand like how can we grow from that. The other thing is, if you're talking too much when you're talking to a client, then like that may mean that something's wrong. Like you should be asking questions and learning from the client so that you understand what is their problem, what are their goals, and when are they looking to achieve that? What targets do they want? What is their budget, for example? Asking these questions when you're actually at the stage where you've met the client is very important. So these are probably basic things for people who are running their business, but I'm learning a lot right now that, there is a lot to consider. Lastly, there's something to be said about the importance of storytelling. So normally we try to share information and factoids and stuff like that. Like I could say that. So I'm going to share with you a factoid, for example, and just to illustrate a fact. So for design-led companies, those who particularly value design, they're more than likely to grow 2 times more than their competitors. And so this is just a factoid. This is just me stating something that I pulled from the internet out of someone else's research. And sometimes this is great. But if you have a story, for example, I think that's easier to share than actually sharing some random fact like this. And it's also more relatable. So if I talk about my own experience, for example, like I worked in a startup, and after creating a design sprint, that design sprint of the future state of the product actually helped us get acquired by another company. So, and that is more relatable than for me saying that businesses with design grow 2 times more, because like what businesses, who, and whatever. So it's like sharing something out of my own experiences actually helped me present myself as a better candidate. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Anne, and if you like this content, feel free to like this video and also hit the subscribe button to see more of these types of videos. Bye!